that persons who probably having a cup of tea will be able to catch up. So everybody, by the way, are you all seeing the screen, the welcome screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So that's Aaliyah, David, Demetrius, Josanne, Nikisha, and Tahira. All right, so let's go. So pleasant morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. I bring you greetings on behalf of Dr. Gillian Paul, Ms. Anjani Dwarka, who's the Dean of Sonhe School of Nursing, Health, and Environmental Science, Ms. Delamay Wilson, who is the Chair of the Department, the course coordinator, Dr. Saida Sattar, and I'm very glad to be your lecturer, not only for the lecture sessions, but also for the lab. My name is Dr. Patrick Campbell. And as we go along, in terms of greetings, usually I ask students, like what they want from the class. And I get some rather interesting answers. And these are some of the answers which historically I have gotten in terms of knowledge, understanding, fun, Carriers Tobago, and so on. But one of the things which the consistent theme always seems to be, to get an A, make the concepts clear. I would say those are the two. And I've been teaching this class for over 10 years now. It constantly keeps reappearing. And I just want to show you all that, yes, is it achievable? Of course it is. Once you just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing in terms of the work expected of you. And we'd cut to that, once I finish with the introduction, we'd cut to that in terms of going over to the e-classroom to see what's expected of you during the course of the semester itself. Okay, so in terms of office hours, one of the things I would ask, I don't know if we have any WhatsApp savvy persons, if somebody could open a WhatsApp group, that is probably the best way in which we could communicate. So I would encourage you to open a WhatsApp group, and I would also ask if in the opening of the WhatsApp group, if you could also include me. Now, do remember, of course, that when you open this WhatsApp group, it is no longer under the purvey or the surveillance, under the supervisory umbrella of COSTAT. So therefore, I will just be a participant in the group. I will be a silent participant in the group at that. What do I mean by that? Well, that means anything that goes on, you wouldn't hear a peep from me. Y'all could say what you want. And, I wouldn't be, there in terms of saying, hey, you can't say that, what are you saying? No. I'll just be a silent participant just so that you could communicate with me, right? So that's something very important. So I do hope somebody will start up that WhatsApp group and just include me. It's a nice way, if you have any questions for me, you could hit me up on WhatsApp. So you'd get, definitely, I usually check my, WhatsApp during the course of the day. So it's a more efficient means than, an efficient means other than the COSTAT email. So I just hope I know before the end of the class, we'll have that WhatsApp group coming, set up, and then we'll take it from there. In terms of, this is my COSAT, my WhatsApp phone number. And so whomsoever looking to start the WhatsApp group, they could probably look to, take this information down to 266-8770. All right. Now let's go forward, shall we? In terms of class etiquette, now this slide, interestingly enough, this was something that I usually use, in terms of in the formal class setting. And I just thought it would be nice to revisit it because it's been a hot second since we have actually seen the classroom environment. So I just thought, to give you a nice reminder. Of course, we at COSTAT and everywhere else in Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of the learning environment, we are all waiting on the ministry. We are looking at the ministries. I just typed in my number in the chat. Just give me 1 second. Just in case somebody, yeah, okay. Yeah, so we await word from the ministry in terms of what is expected of us. Are we going to open into the classroom environment? We don't know, but thus far we have set up the entire semester to work online, and we just await Dr. Gatsby and her ministry in terms of giving us any updates as it relates to the rejoining of the classroom, or if we'll run the entire semester online. But just rest assured, either way, we are prepared for it. And currently, we are indeed prepared for the online environment. The entire semester has already been set up using that environment there. Okay. So just in terms of, well, this etiquette holds true. Do raise your hand, try to respect your colleagues, right? So if somebody is talking, because similarly here, you could just turn on your mic. I do ask that you don't over talk them, talk over them, listen until they have finished expressed that which they want to say, and then, then you could respond on it. Of course, eating and drinking, if you're doing that, just take off your mic. We don't need to hear you smacking, in terms of that. But of course, do feel free in terms of having breakfast or what have you not at any time. In terms of your teacher, I do ask you, always remember to respect your teacher. You might not like me as a person. I have no problem with that. I have no control over that. But I do ask that you respect me as your teacher. All right. So if you do have any issues, please don't air them in front of class, because I assure you that it usually doesn't turn out nice. And I don't like to go tit for tat with persons, who want attention in the environment of the classroom. I'll just, finish off with the class. So please, if you have any issues with me, contact me on WhatsApp, give me a call, send me an email, but please do not try to make an issue in front of the class. Another thing, sometimes persons might be piping in. I assure you, please, I've been doing this for quite a while. I don't need the support of anybody. There's some people, they say, hey, only quiet now, let's saying something. No, you don't need to do that. All right, I got this, I got that. All right, so do remember that. While I do applaud your need or your attempt to assist, I assure you that I'm good. So you don't have to render any assistance that you feel is necessary as it relates to the class environment. Okay. In terms, well, of course, bathroom, cell phone usage. Once again, just take off your mic, whenever you're doing these things. In terms of the assessments, we'll go across to them just now. All the assessment, they are listed in the e-classroom, and there's a document in which everything for the semester is listed. We'll go over there in just a second where that is concerned. All right, so that's the end of the presentation. I was just waiting for the numbers to go up in terms of introduction. So while the numbers do go up, let me just go over to the e-classroom and let's have a look there. Okay. All right. Now, is there anybody who does not have access to the e-classroom just yet? Well, the fact that anybody, is everybody good as it relates to access to the e-classroom? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So when you log in, great.
Sir, I have no access to the e-classroom.
Did you get an email from me, David?
Yes, sir.
Okay, David Spencer. Okay, that will be corrected with haste. All right. In fact, let me do this real quick. Let me just, if you all would just excuse me for 1 second, let me add David real quick. What's the name? David Spencer. All right. Okay, David, that'll be done before by the time the class ends, you'll have the access to it. So that wouldn't be an issue going forward. Let me just take note of this. Add David. I'll find that rather David Spencer to the class. Okay. Okay, David. So that'll be rectified with immediacy. All right. Okay, so when you do go on to the class, right, you see this, welcome to the class. In this area here, you'd see COSTAT Academic Calendar 2021. And if you do click on it, you will see, well, week at a glance, you'll see everything. Right, so this is the academic calendar, COSTAT's academic calendar. Tells you the details as it relates to the start of the semester and so on, when gate payment, graduation, final semester session, when it ends. So that's one document. And there's another one here, which I'll post. You wouldn't have access to it just yet, but I'll post it up. Right, so this one, this week at a glance, it tells you in terms of the week beginning October the 11th, right? So this October the 11th started last week. This gives you what is the activity. So the week beginning October the 11th, the blood, which is what we're going to be doing today. And then the week beginning on the 18th, of course, 16, 17, 18, beginning on Monday that week. So the graded activity will be hard running through that week and so on. All right, so this gives you all the graded activities for the semester. It tells you you have one, well, the graded activity relating to the heart, that activity is worth 3%. The next one on the first, the week of the first, that activity is worth 2, and so on. You know, assessment 1 is the week of the 15th. Assessment 2 is week of December the 13th. There's a break from the 27th to the 2nd, and so on. So this will be, I'll open this rather once before the end of the class so that you all will have access and you can see this activity. In fact, let me do it. Let me do it now. It's hidden from students. Open week at a glance. Okay. All right. Also up here, it has the group project. So you could just reference the week at a glance, and you will see when this is due. All right, but the project is up there. It has to do with the heart, and everything is outlined here in terms of what is expected of you. You have to choose one of these 8. There are 8 topics here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to choose one, and it tells you what is expected of you. And there's a rubric here that tells you how the grades will be assessed as it relates to that. So the PowerPoint is worth 60%. And of course, there's also another part. You have to write up a Word document. Is worth 40%. So the PowerPoint is also, you're supposed to do a voiceover PowerPoint. I think a lot of persons might be familiar with that in terms of voiceover PowerPoints. If not, where do you find that information? You just Google YouTube voiceover PowerPoint. It's a feature that is actually inherent or present in PowerPoint, where you could roll the slides and record voice over it. I don't know, anybody familiar with it? Anybody has ever done it before? All right, nobody has done voiceover PowerPoints before. So good, so now is a great opportunity. And like I said, a very easy, simple way to actually learn how to do it is you just in Google type in YouTube, how to do voiceover in PowerPoint, voiceover recording in PowerPoint. And when you do that, boom, you know, you will find that you'll have access and it tells you how to do it. All right, so now that is due on January the 15th. So you have a couple weeks, you know, in terms of doing it. It's due at midnight on the 15th. And as I said, it has a rubric that tells what is requested of you for both the PowerPoint and also for the Word document. All right, so that is visible on the eClassroom as well. Up here in the top section under the announcements, right down here, you see group project. And of course, for the Saturday class, for those who probably might not have access to the email, you could just come on the e-classroom. There's also the link for the Saturday class here. All right. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Nope. All right.
Sir,
Yes. If you would, when you just give me your name, please. Yes. Because I do have a long thing. Go ahead.
I said no.
Oh, I thought you said sir. My bad. Okay, great.
So,
Right.
sorry,
Yes.
Linda, Charles Muriel.
Yes. Go ahead.
I was wondering the information that you just explained, that's for a group project or
It is. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Good point. And that as well. When you, like I said, I would put this one here. So in terms of it, yeah, I should have probably put that on. But the project presentation, which is due on January 24th, it is a group presentation.
Okay.
So where that, ideally what I was thinking is maybe the same lab groups, but if not, I know some people, oh, I don't know about that. So I would give you all the flexibility in terms of making a group. Ideally, the group should be between, I would say, 5 to 7 persons. So that's why the lab group is good, but if you all feel otherwise, I give you all that flexibility to make your own groups. So let's look at group numbers not exceeding 7, but not less than 5. So between 5 and 7 persons. Okay. All right. Just 1 second. Okay. Right. All right. So before we get on to blood, let's do, we have, I think, critical mass. Let's do a little introduction, as it were. And to preface the introduction, let me just go through with the roll call real quick. All right, just to ensure everybody is on my roll. Lab SNF2 Saturday 2021. Attendance. Aliyah is not here. She stepped out. Oh yes, there's Aliyah. Aliyah, yeah. You could just say present when you hear your name.
That's Aliyah Peterson, present.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Amber, no problem. Amber stepped out for a cup of tea, but I'm seeing
No,
her
good
there.
morning, Sam.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
present.
Anira, and if I do mispronounce your name, do let me know. Anira.
Present, sir.
Anicia. Anicia stepped out for a cup of tea. Anita.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Morning. Iriana stepped out for some tea. Ariel popped for a tea. Asabi.
Oriel? Well done, sir.
This is Asabi.
Yes, sir, Sabi.
And Ariel, that was you.
So Oriel.
Oh no, I didn't. Ariel with an O. No, this is Ariel with an A. My bad. Ariel
Okay,
Samuel. It's all good. So Ariel isn't here. Brandon.
Yes, sir.
Candice stepped out for some tea. Crystal.
Yes, sir.
Amdas. David Spencer.
Yes, sir.
Josanne Philip.
Yes, sir.
Julianne Brewster. Stepped out for a tea. Kavita Daulas. Kavita stepped out for a cup of tea. Keyshawn. John. Kishona.
Yeah.
All right, let me change it on my, let me update my roster. That's Kishona with a Keishorna.
Yes.
Okay. My apologies, Kishona. Blame it on my head, not my heart. Okay. Camille, I hope I said that correct. It is Camille, yes, Joseph,
Yes, sir.
right? Kimberly,
Hi, good
Joseph,
morning, sir.
good morning. Lenicia. Lenicia stepped out for a cup of tea. Lucille. Lucille checked in for a cup of tea. Linda.
Present, sir.
Uh-huh. Natasha Thomas. Nikisha Clark.
Present, sir.
Oriel Richards. Yes. I know she's here. Shabrice Cooper.
Present, sir.
Is this Shabrice?
Yes.
No, sir, this is Oriel.
Okay, great. Shabrice.
Yes, sir. Hi.
Hello. Chantal. Chantal went for some tea. Shalise.
Present.
Sparkle.
Present, sir.
Tahira. Went for some tea. And Vivek.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Who is I am here?
See you.
Oh, Tahira. Miss. Okay, no problem.
Mhm.
Great. Right, so that's 21. Actually, great. It matches up 21 and 21. All right, great. So one of the things I wanted to, probably one of the first things on duty, we need to have a WhatsApp group. Very good way of communicating. And I would ask that if you all could include me as a silent partner. I wouldn't be saying this outside of the purvey of COSTAT, so I wouldn't be saying anything. I will only respond if questions are directed towards me in the WhatsApp group. So I don't know who would like to take the responsibility of setting up the group, the WhatsApp group.
Me, Asabi St. John was
Oh, you're doing it already? Asabi, you're doing it? Okay, great. So I don't know, students.
It gone already.
It gone already? It on already? What? Let me check to see if all is shining from what you're saying on the I see what you're saying. I see in it. We food. Excellent job. EXCELLENTJOB. Smiley face. Smiley face. Up thumb. Great. Well done. Okay, great. So that's one thing. So again, excellent way to actually communicate with me. I'm really good at WhatsApping. But if you need to, you can hit me on email, COSTAT email, and you can also get me there. Okay, so great. So the next thing what we'd want to move on to will be introduction. So let me just give a brief introduction. So my name is, as you all know, it's Patrick Campbell. I like cricket, I like football, and yeah, I like to go outside in the sun. So where I'm originally, I'm from San Fernando. I live in St. Augustine, and I really enjoy Trinidad and Tobago. So let's go around the class, if you would. We're going to do some introductions, if you would. Say your name, where you're from, and something you like to do that is not illegal, immoral, or fattening. Okay? Let's start with Alaya.
Hold on a sec. Could you repeat that, please? Sorry.
Sure. So just say your name, where you're from, and something you like to do that is not illegal, immoral, or fattening.
Okay, no problem. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alea Peters.
Sorry, I apologize. I mispronounced your name. I do apologize.
Alea.
Yes, I mispronounced it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. That's okay. I'm from Arima era, and I'm basically from the Alvarado campus.
What you like to do?
One thing I like to do is read. Reading
Read.
is my favorite thing.
That is excellent. Reading is fundamental, and especially in this profession, reading is really good to keep on top of things. What's the last good book you read, Alea?
The last book I read is I'm not gonna forget the name, but that's from Ben Benjamin Carson.
Oh, Ben Carson. Oh, yes,
Ben
he's that
Carson, yeah.
surgeon, neuroscience,
I
a
forgot who else.
neurosurgeon from the States. Yeah, he was over at Johns Hopkins University. Yeah, he did a lot of firsts in terms of his capabilities. Yeah, is it Gifted Hands?
Gifted Hands, yes. That's
Yes,
the name
that's
of
an
the
excellent
Gifted
book
Hands.
to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost had the opportunity to meet him, but I didn't go up to John Hopkins, but that was great. Yeah, but he's a really inspirational guy. Thanks a lot, Alea. Amber?
Hi, good morning. My name is Amber. I'm from St. Margaret in the Strathson Bay, and I like to go to the beach.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll make it
Yes,
a
so
reality.
fingers crossed.
Yes, we could go there. Excellent. Thanks a lot, Amber. Anira?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Anira Haripol. I'm from Sangre Grande, and I like to do makeup.
What you saying? That's good, man, Anira, in terms of doing makeup and so on. And hopefully when we get into the when we do get back into the classroom environment, either with this class or otherwise, if it's with this class, maybe we can have a makeup party, and get people bring makeup and make themselves up. That is great. Thanks a lot. Who's next? Anicia? Okay, Anicia stepped out for a cup of tea. Anita?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anita Kublal. I live Bristol Village, Miaro. I like to write.
What you saying? We're talking poems, short stories, or just writing to people, your friend and them. Morning, how you going? Hope you have a good day.
Just writing to my friend and stuff and writing over all it. It helps me to remember more.
It surely does, yeah. And in fact, research has shown that, there's something, as opposed to just reading it, the act of actually writing it out, it cements, the memory. It creates new connections in terms of neuronal connections in the brain, and it really does help you remember more. Yeah, great. Well done. Keep it up. All right. So let me see. That was Anita Sabi. Brandon.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmed. I'm from Barpo, and I guess I like to watch a lot of TV.
Oh, I am mad at you, and I think a lot of people. Yes, what's that show with the dolly that is spin the head? What's the name of that show? Ooh, la la, whatever song she's
Good
making.
games.
Yes, what's that one, Brandon?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, that is good, but there's nothing wrong with watching TV, In particular, now everybody, I think, they get onto that track. Good. All right,
Yeah.
Who's next? Thanks, Brandon. Who's next? Crystal?
Hi, good morning. My name is Crystal and I'm from Barpo. Well, I like to go on these little adventures and visit new places.
Crystal, you know Brandon? You ever
No,
met
I
him
don't think
before?
so.
No. Okay. What about TV? So you like to go on little adventures and so on. So you like hiking, is it? Or just when you say or when you say going to new places, you're waiting on the opening of Rattan. You're waiting on the opening of Rattan down on the bottom of High Street.
No,
You see,
like go visit new waterfalls, those kind
what
of
you
things.
saying? What you saying? I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, you see the opening Rattan at the bottom of High Street now. I know if you've been in San Fernando recently, where Citibank used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm San Fernando regular.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. So you'll see it, man. I know. Yeah, that's a nice little place to go. Thanks a lot. Okay. Who's next? David?
Hi, good morning. My name is David Spencer. I am from Separia, and I like gardening. And
What you saying? That is
go
great,
adventure.
man. Would you say, David, do you think you have a green thumb wherever your plant is going to grow up and one set of tomato, one set of bygone, all kind of thing that's be growing?
Yes, sir.
What you say? Nice, great, man. Excellent. Keep it up. Well done. All right, who's next? Somebody, well, their name says Deju. So I don't know if they could help me out with their full name.
So no, that would be Shabris, but I was
Okay.
actually using my
It's all
brother
good. It's all
thing.
good. It's all good. Go ahead, Sabris.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Shabris. I'm from Tobago, and what I like to do the most is anything involving my phone, like play games, watch YouTube videos, TikTok, all them things.
What you saying? TikTok. TikTok is rather interesting, eh? They have short video. Or what do you find is the most interesting thing about TikTok? Let me ask you that question.
So everything TikTok real addictive. Every
If
scroll
again,
is a new
and you're
video.
saying, you say to yourself, I know it's too bad. I look at it as you say, okay, I'll just take another 5 minutes. And like 3 hours later, it
Yes,
really
sir.
is. It really is very interesting. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, Deshaun.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Morning. I am Linda Charles Muriel, and I am from PT Valley. And I love viewing stuff on YouTube.
I could put you onto somebody who like TikTok. So they could, you don't watch TikTok, you only watch YouTube.
Yes, I love viewing stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. What type of thing? You like to watch movies or comedy or something like that?
No, like information that I need to
Gotcha.
yeah.
So I suppose, do you look at TED Talks?
Yes, I look at TED Talks.
Very informative, yeah?
Yes,
Very
yes,
informative.
yes. Have a lot of
and
different topics and stuff.
one of the good things with TED Talks, they're short as well, Some of them are 5 minutes, they will have different lengths, some are 10, but most they go to like 15 minutes or so. Good. Thanks very much. No problem. All right, Josanne.
Hi, my name is Joanne Philip. I'm from Princeton, and I think I like to cook the most.
What you saying? Where's the thing you could cook the fastest, Josanne? If somebody wake you up midnight and say, go and cook, you're half asleep, you could still pull it down. What's the best thing you think you could cook?
I think anything, anything.
What you saying? As they say, you have sweet hand then.
Yeah.
That is good. Excellent. Well done. Okay, Kishona.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Kishona. I'm from St. James, and I like to listen to music.
What is saying? Kishona, you remember what was his Reiner's record shop used to be out? Is Reiner's by Olio? Out there on the main road? Or I'm making that up.
Sure.
I'm making now. Okay, maybe it used to have a record shop. I know right there on where's the main road there? Is Eastern Main Road?
Western Main Road.
West, obviously, because it's in the West. Duh. Yeah. Yeah, it used to have a record shop, and especially around Carnival time, it used to be a big thing. They used to have the Calypsonians come in and they used to be singing over the record now. It was
by the amphitheater.
Nah, not high up at the amphitheater, a little lower down. So if you're going like back towards Port of Spain on the left side, forget the name of the record shop, but and used to set up a stage. It was always a big thing, like Carnival Friday. They'd set up a stage and they'd have all the Calypsonians come in and doing this voiceover. And needless to say, well, they don't want you past stage and it's St. James, the traffic just everything kind of shut down, with one set of crowd and so on. But who knows? Fingers crossed, maybe Carnival will come back to something like what we know it, like for next year. So fingers crossed on that. Thanks a lot. Okay, who's next? That was Kishona. Camille?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you would, just introduce yourself, name, where you're from, something you like to do.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Camille Joseph, and I'm from Laramie. So basically, Laramie Sando, right there. And I enjoy singing and music.
What you saying? You could sing. You ever sing in any choir?
Well, yeah, like in school, choir in school, and like church.
What you saying? Watching your slide, that is very good. Thanks a lot. Kimberly?
Hi, morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberly Joseph. I live Paramount and I like to cook and bake.
What you saying? Cook and bake. What? And similar, like I asked previously, what is the thing you think you could cook and bake the best?
It really is anything, you know.
So you two, you have sweet hand then. It's not
Yeah.
many people blessed with sweet hand, but when you have it, it's real good to have it. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Camille. Nikisha?
Kimberly.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Kimberly. All right. Nikisha? If
Hi,
you
good
would.
morning, everyone. My name is Nikisha. I live in Valencia and I love to read.
What you saying? You'd have somebody else who like to read as well in this group so you could get on to them. Valencia, it still have oranges up there, all you cut down all the orange tree to build house and apartments and so on up there.
It have some.
I hear you, I hear you. You have any in your yard or where around where you live or your neighbor have orange tree?
No, mangoes.
Mangoes. So you just go and climb the neighbor fence and pick the mango without asking it. What kind of behavior is that?
Not.
No, you mustn't do that. You don't do that, right?
No.
No, okay. It's somebody else. I thought so.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. No problem. All right. Who's next? Nikisha? Oh, that was Nikisha, sorry. Oriel? Or I hope I'm not mispronouncing your
Hi,
name.
sir.
Hello, good day.
Hi, I'm Oriel. I'm from Tobago, from Color Hall to be exact. I enjoy entrepreneurship. I am currently in the process of launching my second business, Glam Royalty.
What you saying?
Please go check it out, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, in the group, put it in the WhatsApp group now, mention it and so on. I'm sure people want to check it out and so on. That is very good, man. Yeah. It's always good to have a business, do what you like, notwithstanding your profession, but always, make sense to do what you like. Thanks a lot, Oriel. All right. Who's next? Chantal?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Chantal Williams. I'm from Southside. So Paria side around there. What I like to do is anything beauty related. I am a makeup artist. I'm trying to do nails and things, but mostly I love makeup. That is my calling, I should say.
What you saying? I know somebody. So it says Anira. You and Anira could probably hang out then. Yeah, so because Anira does makeup as well. So you'll be in good company there. All right, great. Thank you. So let me see who's next. We had Oriel, we had is it Chantal? Chantal, you went just now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so it's Shalice. Shalice, we just, by way of introduction, if you would, just say your name, where you're from, something you like to do that is not illegal, immoral, or fattening.
Good morning. My name is Shalice Williams. I'm from Aruka and I like to DIY. What I be doing here, painting, creating art pieces or
What you saying? Well, you could talk to Oriel, the entrepreneur, as well as Chantal and Anira, right? So that is very good in terms of always having something else to do. That is very good, right? Well done. Keep it up. Okay, Sparkle. Sorry, I skipped out Shalice. Just hold on 1 second. Shalice.
That was me.
Okay, is moving up and down on my thing. Sparkle, sorry, so I was right. Yeah, Sparkle, go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Good morning, class.
Good morning.
My name is Sparkle Anderson, and I guess most of us are nursing students. Also, I'm basically a homebody, so if I'm not studying, I would prefer to bake. I like to bake more quick breads. Or I prefer to watch Netflix, anything on the psychological side, on the thriller side, or maybe reality dating shows, anything like that. I prefer to do that at my spare time.
So
and,
go ahead.
Yes. And any book as well to deal with any kind of serial killer psychology. My genre of things to do. And basically spend time by myself. I recharge best being alone.
I hear you. Do you read Stephen King's books?
Maybe when I was a teenager.
Or did you ever look at any of his movies? Because they made a couple of them into movies, like Kojo.
Movies. I always look at his movies. The recent one that I looked at what Netflix had bought over, which was the one from the 90s, Pet Cemetery.
Oh Lord, this kid. yes, quite so. It's
that one from the 90s. I think it was in late 90s.
It surely was.
Yes, and I enjoyed that.
Excellent. I hear you. Good. Well done. Thanks a lot. Okay, Tahira.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tahira Whiskey. I'm from Arima, and I enjoy cooking, baking, and catering.
You can do curry chicken, Tahira.
I can.
What you're saying. So if it is, we come back together, collectively. If the ministry allows us as a class, we need to have a class party, and we could have you to do the catering, not so?
Sure.
Asking answers. Okay, great. We'll look forward to that one. Thanks a lot. All right. So who's next? Let me see. Vivek.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivek Maharaj from the Penal area, and I really like to drive.
That's good, man. Drive in terms of Wallerfield and drifting, or drive as in going from point A, San Fernando, just drive, all over the place kind of thing.
I understand.
Really, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah. Me myself sometimes. It's a nice way, to air out. It's a nice way of relaxation as well, to just take a drive. I am mad at you, Vivek. All right. Thanks a lot. All right, great. So was there anybody who didn't get an opportunity to introduce him or herself?
So me.
Okay, go ahead.
So hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Asabi Senjan. I'm from the Port of Spain area. I was the one who created the WhatsApp group, so I just bring it to your attention that I sent a link. Yeah, I sent a link, so it's as simple as clicking on the link so you could join the WhatsApp group. I enjoy doing here. I am the proud owner of A&J's Lovely Luck, so yes, you could follow on the Instagram.
Another entrepreneur. Yeah, we better look to create a little hair salon or something, man. We have enough personnel, not only hair, nail, and makeup. We can have a little all-in-one something. That's very good, man. Keep it up. Well done. All right, anybody else? Okay, good. So that seems like we've gotten everybody. All right, so there's 2 things to strike off the list.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Natasha here from Tobago.
Yes, go ahead.
I just came in, so I don't know if his introduction is going on.
So what we're doing in terms of introductions, we're just saying your name, where you're from, and something you like to do that is not illegal, immoral, or fattening. So go ahead. Well, you said 2 of it already, 2 of those things. You said your name and where you're from. Tell us something you like to do.
I'll start over. My name is Natasha Thomas. I'm originally from Trinidad, living in Tobago. And I love to read, and I also am a small business owner. I deal with underwears and stuff like that.
What you're saying, another entrepreneur, boy, that is good. That is. Would you say that is because of COVID you became an entrepreneur, or you were always, you always were doing, entrepreneurial business?
I always used to do small businesses. I was into hair. My mother had owned a hair store before. I used to help her buy stuff, order stuff, sell in the store, things like that.
So you just continue it?
Yes.
Excellent. Keep it up. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. That was Natasha. Anybody else? All right, so I'll see nobody else. So we do the roll call, the WhatsApp group, the classroom review. So now it's time for lecture, right?
Sir.
Yes?
I created the WhatsApp group before. I started creating the WhatsApp group before I started make the group. So I don't know if it had 2 WhatsApp group or what.
Oh, let me see. I don't know.
Because she had a link in the chat, but I already created the group.
Oh, okay. Oh, so yeah. Osabi, it already has a group then prior to that. So I guess the link in the chat wouldn't be necessary. Or you can have two if you want, one with sir and one without sir. You all decide what you want to do. But yeah, there was one already created. I didn't realize that. But I applaud you for you know your quickness in terms of moving to set it up. But there was one already, a structure and function too, that I set up. So you all will decide, you know, what to do, but there was already one Osabi that was set up. All right. So that's it for introductions and so on. For those who just came in, I did mention the session is being recorded and it will be placed in the WhatsApp group by tomorrow morning. All right, it'll be turned into a YouTube video. Okay, so the blood, yes, go ahead.
A quick question: how do I access the WhatsApp group?
All right, so right now, if you could put your phone number in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, and the person whomsoever is the person in charge, they would add you to the group. Okay, so blood.
So sorry to disturb. Candice Jove is trying to get in, but apparently she don't have the limited ID or the link.
All right, just if you're in communication with her, tell her just go to the classroom page and click on the Zoom link for Saturday class, yeah? Or if you could WhatsApp the link that I sent for you all, but yeah, but you just need to go to the page and just click here.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So today, so what do we do on a week-to-week basis? Now, the view you all seeing is my view. If you notice here, it says hidden from students. So you all don't see this part. When I do, I show you all the weeks have been covered, right? But week by week, it will be revealed. You know, as they go along, the weeks will be revealed to you. So what do you do on a weekly basis? So when we do have the class, right, you come in and we go through this. Now, just as I mentioned in the note I sent to you, the labs, when do the labs begin? I forget, somebody help me out. When do the labs begin?
In November.
Correct is right, right? The first week in November it begins. So do we have lab today?
No.
Absolutely not, right? So we have none today or next week. It starts the following week. So do keep that in mind, yeah? No, will it be, yeah, it would be on the following week. All right, so what do we do on a weekly basis? All you have to do is when you do log in, so like we'll have class like today, and I will go through what is expected of you. If you notice, it says blood is the introduction, and under what it says students must. This tells you what is expected of you for the class. So notice here it says review the lecture on PowerPoint, review resources, complete the activity, and complete the blood worksheet for next class day. So how do you do that? Review the lecture. All you do is come down here and you click on lecture, and a recording of the lecture is already there. So you can have a look at that one, or you can have a look at the live one, which I'll do today. But there's already the lecture. This was from a previous class that I did on this said topic. So it's a YouTube video. Let me see if I could. So when you click on the link, right, it will actually carry you to the video, which is the same thing what I do today, right? So when you click on the link, person sounds familiar. Okay, well, actually, that's me. If you all don't find it sounds familiar, so what you do, you just follow these instructions. So you review the lecture, you click on it. The PowerPoint, click on PowerPoint, and when you click on PowerPoint, you know the PowerPoints which accompany class, it comes up. So you could go through it for those who like to view things separately, right? So you could just go through it as well. The PowerPoint for the class itself. What's the next thing that says in instructions? Review the resources. So you click on the resources. And when you click on resources, what happens? Well, there's something, this comes up, it speaks to, it's a short video. Yeah. It's about blood typing. All right. So it's a short video. So expect it then just to look through it. The next thing is, so again, just reading from here. So you review the lecture, right? Click. Everything is just clicking. Review the resources. Click there. You got that. Complete the activity. All right. And when you click on the activity, yeah, it's another hyperlink. Here you come to the Nobel Prize, and it's a blood typing game. Right? Anybody familiar with the Nobel Prize?
No, sir, but I want to win it.
Yeah, I applaud you. I applaud you. And what it is, you know, first of all, let me tell you what it's worth. On average, it's worth about 1.1 million US dollars. And is actually, you could do what it is, there's no restrictions on it. It's usually given to persons who on the top of their field in the areas of medicine and physiology, economics. There's a Peace Prize, chemistry, and physics. So it's 5 prizes in all, but each one is worth roughly 1.1 million US dollars. So if you win a Nobel Prize, not only do you get the monetary prize, but you know, it's just the respect from all your peers. So usually, you know, you have to be like tops in your field. This year in the field of physiology and medicine, the persons who did get it, they got it for their work in deciphering or figuring out the temperature sensors in your body. And very interestingly, they figured it out using the extract from a pepper. Right? There's an extract from a pepper known as capsaicin, and is the active ingredient in many arthritic medicines, creams, and so on. And they use that to actually figure out how it is that these sensors in your body, temperature and pressure sensors, how they work. And for that, they got the Nobel Prize. So you could also, when you go to the site, you can also click there and it tells you about it, nobelprize.org. But here, what this is a blood typing game. So after you go through the activity, which tells you about how blood typing is done, it's really cool. Very good to come here and play the blood typing game. And when you play the blood typing game, I hope it comes up. Let's see. Come on, come on, come on. Right. Right? You now reinforce that which you have learned before. The patient has been in an accident. First, collect a blood sample. Right? You're all familiar with your syringe, so you click on the syringe and you put it on the hand and you take out some blood. Right? So you click next. You have to do blood typing. Right? So what you have to drag and drop the syringe in all the 3 test tubes. Right? So you check in then. It shows you. So there's A, B, and there's a recess factor. So let's say you get no reaction in A, no reaction in B, and no reaction in recess factor. You get no reactions. Anybody familiar with blood typing? And what type of blood this will be? Well, if you're not familiar, it's very simple to figure it out. So what you do, let me guess. Let's say if it's O. So since we're getting a positive here, sorry, a negative test, let's see if we say O, so it's O minus, right? So the good thing with this is you could just move at your own pace and you could do it one-on-one. So you don't have anybody really checking you or anything like that, right? And you just keep going through. To put a bag here, drag a blood bag and drop it in, right? So let's say if you put the wrong type of blood. What will happen if you put the wrong type of blood? If you give somebody a wrong type of blood, what do you think will happen? Anybody?
The antibodies go satisfy the blood and it might kill them.
Oh yeah. And every year, and this is not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but globally, people make that mistake. So that is one thing in particular. If you or somebody you know, or even in your professional career, when you see you're doing a transfusion and the blood comes up from the lab, let's say it might have 2 or 3 persons on the ward, always remember, don't make that mistake. Now, usually, even if the mistake is made, it could be detected quickly because after the blood is actually, the IV is hooked up, you watch the patient. If it is, you see they start to sweat, or worse yet, start to shake and so on, you know it's the wrong type of blood. All right? But always remember, everybody here knows the blood type. knowing your blood type is pretty good. All right, so that's probably, if you don't know it yet, you should get to know it, so that, you know, if you're in an emergency or in some kind of accident, you'll know that information. Let's see, what if you put the wrong blood type, what happens, right? Well, you know, that's the wrong blood type. You know, if you keep putting the wrong one, right, we see what happens, right? Right, that when you get the correct one. So what this does, it helps you after you go through the activity, right, and you appreciate the fact of how it's done, then you can do that game to reinforce what you know. Okay, so that's the activity. And if you notice here, what it says after complete the activity, so you could go through it in terms of the blood. And then the last thing would be the blood worksheet for next class day. So when you click on the blood worksheet, what do you see? Well, the blood worksheet is actually a fillable PDF. So it speaks about blood plasma and Charles Drew, right? How his research in developing, or he was one of the persons who was the key in terms of what we know today as blood transfusion, right? So you could just have a look. And after you read this part, next thing you do is the activity sheet. All right, now this one here is not evaluative. Why they evaluate the plasma and new weapons? Do you agree or disagree? Explain. All right, so it has these things, so you fill it out. It's called explain why, including the antigen antibody response. Yeah, these areas are too small to actually write them. Well, actually it's a small area. What I would do, I would change this into a fillable PDF, so you'll be able to actually write on this sheet itself. So I will change it, and so that you'll be able to put any information here. Let me just take note of that. Make blood activity fillable PDF. Right, so I'm making a fillable PDF, so you'll be able to do the work on this itself. Right, circle your answer. You know, you'll see how that goes. That's something a little tricky actually, how to do it. So anyhow, yeah, I'm making a fillable PDF, so it'll be easier for you, right, to actually fill out the material. Then you save it. Let's go back again. Right, so you save it, and then next week, so beginning on the 18th, right, this section opens up, which is on Monday. This part will open up. Now, currently, you all can't see it, right? But this part will open up the 18th to the 24th. And one of the things you'll notice down at the bottom, it says Dropbox. So you'll put this in, and the deadline is the 31st of October. All right, so this opens on Monday. This section will open on Monday, and you have until Sunday the 31st to actually complete this blood worksheet. All right, everybody clear with that? So you have, so when you click the blood worksheet, you have until the 31st of October to finish it. This part, you wouldn't, if you go to the e-classroom now, you wouldn't see it. You're only seeing it because, well, you're seeing it from my perspective, the teacher, right? But this part, as is shown here, is hidden from students. So this part becomes visible from Monday, and then you have until the 31st to put it in here. This blood worksheet is an individual exercise. So what you have to do as an individual, you download it, you fill it out, and you save it, you put your name, just your name and your ID number on it in terms of when you save it. You save it as a name and ID number, and then you put it in the Dropbox. And that's it. All right, we good so far? So just to recap what we spoke about today in terms of with the blood, the lecture, right? We click on the link, the lecture is already there, today's lecture. The PowerPoint related to the lecture, click on this, the PowerPoint comes up, it's a PDF. The resources, this tells you about blood typing, the activity, this is at the Nobel Prize website. The Nobel Prize website, when you go there, you'll actually see the game, the blood typing game. So that reinforces the concepts which are here in terms of blood. And then the last thing, what you have to do, the blood worksheet, that is due on October 31st. Next week, this beginning on Monday. So each week a new section's open for you to see. So beginning on Monday, this will open. And then you have until the 31st to actually put it in this Dropbox here. And again, when this opens next week, it tells you what has to be done. So for next week, for instance, where it says review the lecture, and next week we'll be looking at the heart. So I'll just touch a little bit on the blood, and then we call it a day for today. Everybody good so far?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Nope.
Not as yet.
Okay, good answer. Let's look at the lecture then. So I'll just touch on it, and then you could revisit the lecture that is shown, the recording, either the recording that is already there or the one which I will post today based on this lecture. So let's go through blood. Let's go. Everybody still awake? You fall asleep yet? Do you all want a break before the lecture? You want a 5 minutes, or you're good? Or shall we just go in and finish a little early? Okay, all right, so let's go. Okay, so blood. So how many liters of blood do we have? Anybody? How many liters? Is it 1 to 2, 5 to 6, 9 to 10?
5 to 6.
Thank you, Anira. Yeah, which isn't much when you think about it. Imagine, like when you're looking at a 2-liter soft drink, it's 2.5 2-liter soft drink. You know, the big bottle. It's just 2.5, which is why when you see somebody is hemorrhaging either from a gunshot or a stab wound, a puncture wound, it's very important always to bring the hemorrhaging under control, because they really do have a lot of blood. Just 5 to 6 liters on average. It's 5. 5 is the better of the two average. So blood is considered, of course, a connective tissue. And what does it do? Well, blood is in continuous motion all over the body. Its color is red. The cells have a short lifespan, approximately 120 days. These red blood cells have before they are the nutrients from them is actually recycled in the body itself via the liver. So they don't last very long, 120 days, which is like 4 months, 4 3s are 12. And compared to water, it's thick. The pH is more alkaline, it's about 7.4, and it accounts for 7% of the body weight. Anybody here like pudding? Okay, don't answer that. Pudding is delicious, right? One of the good things in terms of nutrients from pudding, it's iron, right? Because pudding is made from seasoned blood. And in fact, in Norway, one of the things they did, they found that the children in kindergarten, they found that they were deficient in iron. So what the government did, they actually mandated that children in kindergarten and the lower levels in the school, that they receive pudding. So they started to make pudding and distribute to the schools. And what they found is that deficit as it relates to iron deficiency, it disappeared. And what is that deficit associated with iron deficiency? What is that called? A deficit. When you don't have enough, it's something it's something that begins with E.
Anemic.
Anemic, yes. Or for some persons who do have heavy periods, they do become anemic as well. And in cases like that, one of the things that you could do, of course, is take either supplements or food rich in iron. Anybody know any foods rich in iron?
So beet.
Beet, yeah, beet has iron. Anything else?
Callaloo
bush, we're talking dashing bush. Yes. Anything else? Green fig. Well, the jury's out on green fig. I have read the literature, and I feel strongly about green fig that yes, it does have iron, right? So don't forget your green fig when you're making your little soup or green fig pie. I know we have a couple of people who is cook here. I don't know if anybody here ever, the cookists among us or the chefs, because if you ever make a green fig
or
pie,
even the green banana salad. So instead of the
green
potato,
banana,
you could use
yes,
the green
there you
banana.
go.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks for reminding us. Right, so that is very good if it is you're running a deficit on iron as opposed to taking those supplements, the tablets and so on. All right, so in terms of blood, what does it do? It clots, right, to reduce blood loss. Is that important? Yeah, because why is that important in terms of blood clotting? We just mentioned it's only 5 liters you have. So imagine if your blood didn't clot, you just get a little scratch, it would just keep dripping, 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 right? And it eventually, what happens when you hemorrhage a lot? What does your body do in response to hemorrhaging? Anybody, what does your body do?
It tries to clot.
It tries to clot, right? And if you lose too much blood, what will happen? It's something your body goes into. It begins with S, ends in K.
Shock.
Yeah, you go into
Shock.
shock. Yeah, yeah. And the reason why your body goes into shock is trying to prevent blood loss. So notice, normally you're in a standing position. When you go into shock, what happens? Well, number one, you pass out. And it's not done just for accident, because when you pass out, do you remain standing when you pass out? No, you fall down. And now you go into a prone position as opposed to the standing position. In the prone position, the heart has to do less work in terms of getting the blood to the brain. So that means your heart rate could actually drop. In dropping your heart rate, less blood is going through that area where you have the laceration or puncture. So that actually is a way of reducing the amount of blood loss, right? Going into shock, that's one of the things in terms of passing out, all right? Another thing, what does the blood have? It has elements that defend against microbes, right? And we look at that and we'll see that comes from the white blood cells. And in fact, their repository, or where they are found mostly, is in the lymphatic system in the body itself. The hydraulic force sustains urine formation. When we do look at the kidneys, we'll see that the functioning of the kidneys is from pressure filtration. So if you don't have good blood pressure, quote unquote, your kidneys will not function. So that is very important in terms of having proper 120/80, or in terms of quote unquote correct blood pressure. That is essential for the proper functioning of your kidneys. Blood, of course, transport nutrients throughout the body and also heat, another important function. So what are the components? We have the leukocytes, or the white blood cells. We have the erythrocytes, or the red blood cells. And then, of course, we have plasma. Plasma is the watery content. Now, we could see this separation if you spin it in a centrifuge. You get the blood separating into these two portions. You have this small layer of the buffy coat that has the white cells, and the plasma, which is the major layer, and this separates off. And it has water as one of the major constituents of the plasma itself, which is why it is important to always drink water during the course of the day, because not only is it a major constituent of the blood itself, but also of your body. Your body is almost 70% water, so it's always important that you keep your water levels up. All right, so the components here we see when you do a blood smear, you see these red blood cells, or erythrocytes. You also see platelets, very important for coagulation. And you also see here some of the white blood cells, monocytes, basophils, eosinophils, and lymphocytes, as shown here. Do take note of their structures, because you might get a question where, very simply like this one, and pointing to the different blood types and asking you to label it. So that could be a possible question. So you should be able to identify these white blood cells, not only the white, but the red blood cells, and also the platelets, just by, if you're given a smear to look at. All right, so the plasma, we mentioned that. The water, protein, and non-protein contents. And the plasma proteins, we see the major one is albumin. Do you know where else? You've heard the word before, albumin. Where else would you find albumin? If you, let's say for all the chefs and so on, the people who are in the kitchen, where would you find albumin? Let me hear you.
In eggs.
In eggs, very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, you find it in eggs. And what does albumin do? Well, it's just a carrier protein. Think about albumin like a maxi, a big maxi. When proteins need to go around the body, the albumin is like a big maxi. It carries them from point A to point B, and it drops them off. How does it do it? Well, the protein, it would have attached to it another set of proteins or sugars, and this acts like it tells it the address where it's going to. So proteins are usually tagged. They have this part of it that actually is or has on it identifiable molecules that the albumin recognizes and then is able to carry it from point A to point B. Rather interesting, I tell you. So that's why albumin, very important component of the blood itself. And sometimes you could smell it. When you, of course, in your professional career, either if somebody comes in with a trauma, or even when you're drawing blood, or if the person has a wound and you're smelling it, it usually has a kind of fresh smell, very similar to eggs. Hematopoiesis, this is the manufacture of the different blood cells types. And one of these things, this whole process of manufacture of the blood cell types, they all start from a pluripotent hematopoietic stem cell. Big word. All it means is it comes from a common source, a stem cell, and these stem cells then differentiate or they change into the different types. So that's all. In terms of hematopoiesis, it's a big word, but what it really means, usually when you see this hema or hemo, is referring to blood, right? So it means the creation of blood cells or blood cell types starting from a common progenitor or a common origin in terms of this stem cell. Pluripotent means pluri. It could change into many different types of cells. All right, here you're seeing, here we are seeing two slides, one on the left and one on the right. Which one is the normal blood type? The one on the left or the one on the right? Which one is the normal and which one is abnormal?
Is the normal.
Right, yeah, because it says so, right? Normal blood, this is it over here, and this is the abnormal one. Notice the leukocytes, how big they are, right? They're malignant and they're very large. So that's how they could tell if persons have something going wrong with the blood itself. And when you have cancer related to the blood, what is that called again? I forgot.
Leukemia.
Leukemia, very good. Thank you very much. Right, so leukemia. I do remember one of the first cricketers within the West Indies, Weeks, right? So Everton Weeks Worrell, and no, it wasn't Everton Weeks, right? It's Frank Worrell. Weeks was the last one to pass away, but Frank Worrell, who was the first Black cricket captain of the West Indies from Barbados, he died quite young. He died from leukemia. He had cancer in his blood. It was rather unfortunate. This was after his professional career. I want to say he passed in his 40s. Yeah. But he has an interesting story to him, Frank Worrell, and true story, which just goes to show sometimes you just take what you have and you run with it. When he was younger, he used to like to play cricket. Of course, he grew up to be West Indies captain. And the story goes that where he used to go to play cricket, of course, was in a ground in Barbados, and they would have, a fence around it, would be locked. So normally after school, his friends would, climb over the wall and go into the cricket ground. And on this particular day, he was climbing over the wall and he slipped and he fell. So he broke his right arm, the right arm bowler. So of course his arm was in a cast, but that didn't stop him. He still used to be going back to play with his friends. And because of that, he couldn't bat because you need two hands to bat. So he started to bowl with his left hand. And long story short, he became quite an accomplished bowler with his left hand. So he would bat right-handed and he would bowl left-handed. So it just goes to show sometimes, things happen in life and you wonder why did I fall off the wall and break my hand? If he didn't fall off the wall, who knows, he might have never become captain of the West Indies, first Black captain of the West Indies. So always remember, things happen for a reason. Let's go. All right, so here is red blood cells showing the characteristics. Notice it's biconcave, the red blood cell itself, and hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin? If I were to ask you, oftentimes we hear hemoglobin. What class of substance is hemoglobin? Is it a protein, carbohydrate, or fat? Anybody? Hemoglobin, what do you think it is? It's part of a red blood cell. Is it a protein, carbohydrate, or fat? Whenever you're in doubt, always say protein, right? If ever you get a question asking you, relating to the body and functionality. Usually proteins are the things in the body that do a lot of things. Oftentimes we think about protein just like meat, that, we just eating it, and we relate protein to digestion. But in the body, in terms of functionality, proteins do all the functionality in the body, the majority of things. So whenever, let's say if we get a question asking you what do protein, what type of substance, if it's A, B, or C, always go for protein, right? Proteins they're very interesting substances, and as you will learn in cell and probably in cell and molecular, they are able to present themselves so many different types of forms because they could fold up in different ways. They have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary forms of protein, which just relates to the way they fold. And because they could fold differently, they could do so many different things. For those of us who do arts and crafts, anybody here know about origami, or origami, as they say? I think just the art of taking paper and making different things. Some people can make little, what do they call it? A little swan or something like that, or even making a paper plane. You fold it and you get so many different things from just one sheet of paper. Similarly with proteins. Proteins, you have one type of protein, but how you fold it, it could do so many different things. So in this case, this particular protein, hemoglobin, is folded in such a way, it carries iron. And more importantly, in this structure, it could carry oxygen in the blood. And that is really important. So here we see iron associated with the heme, the protein itself, to form hemoglobin. And this is why iron is very important for the proper functioning of the blood, because without the iron, you wouldn't get this particular folding of the protein. It will fold, but it will fold differently. And one of the important things to remember is structure is closely related to function. That's why this course is called Structure and Function of the Human Body, Anatomy and Physiology. Structure relates to anatomy, functionality relates to physiology. If you change the structure, you change the function. You no longer have iron, it folds up differently, so therefore the function of the blood in terms of carrying oxygen is lost. So that's why, long story short, iron is important, so do eat your green leafy vegetables. All right. White blood cells, the leukocytes, now in the time of COVID in particular, is particularly important in terms of fighting off any foreign invaders, these viral pathogens which is causing this disease. Anybody here know of anybody close to the, or did anybody here lose somebody close to COVID yet? Any other family members or anything? You don't have to go into detail. Just say yes, one of my family members passed, or what have you not. Anybody lost any family members?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Oh, okay, so condolences all around, where that is concerned. But this is a really unique situation in terms of being in a pandemic, which we find ourselves. So I would suggest to you, look at the information out there. Y'all are intelligent persons, y'all are persons of science, and then decide for yourself if you want to get vaccinated or not. All right, always remember that decision. You should make it based on the information out there. Don't let persons decide that for yourself, but you should make an informed decision concerning vaccination. Let's go forward. All right, so inflammation, right? The body's collective cellular and vascular response to injury. And inflammation could also occur because of what? It's related to, let me just say this much. When you're looking at inflammation, let's say you're looking at wound care. What's one of the important things with wound care? In terms of preventing inflammation.
Infection.
That's the other word. Is infection a bad word in medicine?
Yes, it is, sir.
Oh, yes, it's a very, very bad word. Right? To put it in perspective, when we look at the American Civil War, this was when they were fighting in terms of, well, the southern part of America wanted to maintain slavery. The North, they didn't quite agree with that. And it so happened in the North, you had Abraham Lincoln, and he was the president at the time. So the southern states, they wanted to keep slavery. And he was like, I don't think that's such a good idea. And the southern states was like, well, we think it's a real good idea because we're making a lot of money. So here, what we're going to do, We're going to break off from these United States and make our own country, right? We're going to make the southern states of America. And what did the president say? I don't think that is such a good idea. And because of that, the North or the United States went to war against itself in terms of the southern states. At the end of it all, the United States won, and that's how you then had the freeing of the slaves, the southern slaves. But the reason why you had the Civil War was really all about greed and maintaining that way of life in which the majority whites, they had control over the blacks as it relates to making a profit margin during slavery. All right, so all that said, you had this long war, and the reason why I relate that to infection, more people died during the Civil War from infection than from battles, than actually being killed in the battlefield. Just to put it in perspective. So infection killed more people because back then they didn't fully appreciate things like, aseptic technique, keeping things clean, and of course, antibiotics. That wasn't really at the forefront. Antibiotics really came to the forefront more so during World War II, when Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in the time frame post when he discovered penicillin. One of the more widely used antibiotics. Of course, today we have several different antibiotics, erythromycin and so on. But penicillin was really a big breakthrough in the fight against infection. So always remember, infection, bad, and always try to keep it away from the patient. All right, so red blood cells, we spoke about them. Normally about 5 million red blood cells per microliter. Wow, so if 5 million is in a microliter, how many will be in a liter? Well, let me see. You have 1,000 microliters make up a milliliter. I mean, 1,000,000 microliters make up a liter. So you multiply this by 1,000,000. So we are talking 5 with 12 zeros, right? In terms of per liter of blood. So 5 with 12 zeros, which is 5,000 billion. A billion is really nine zeros. So 5,000 billion red blood cells per liter of blood, which is quite a lot. And you ask yourselves, let me ask you this question. Why it is you have so many red blood cells in a liter of blood? For a very simple reason. Why do you have so much? Why does your body put all of this energy and resources into making 5,000 billion red blood cells in a liter? For one reason, one very important. What do you think that reason is? Because carrying oxygen in the body is one word beginning with I, ending in T, and it rhymes with bimportant.
Important.
Yes, very good. Yes. Right? It is important. That's why. And why do we need oxygen? Why does the body need oxygen? 3 words: break down. It uses oxygen to break down what? Substances. And to make it even simpler, breakdown is a word that begins with F, ends in D, and it's 4 letters, and it rhymes with good. Yeah. So you use oxygen to break down food. There's a often used formula, C6 carbohydrates plus oxygen gives you carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Or some of us who do chemistry might be familiar with the formula C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives you 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus energy. I don't know if you all have seen that before, right? But in essence, C6H12O6 represents glucose, which is a simple molecule of food. Glucose plus oxygen gives you carbon dioxide, water, and energy. At the level of the cell, glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide, water, and is used to make oxygen in the process of glycolysis. Glycolysis, when you break down the glucose, you start with glucose and it goes down to glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6 diphosphate, all the way down to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Those are isomers of each other. And then 2,1,6 diphosphoglyceric acid, 2,phosphoglyceric acid, and then to pyruvate. And then that is shuttled into the mitochondria, the electrons produced, and then you have the formation of energy, ATP. So all of that process which occurs in the cell, it needs oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, because ultimately oxygen is the electron acceptor. If you don't have oxygen, the whole cycle breaks down. So in other words, the bottom line out of all of this, you need oxygen to break down food. And it is so important. That is why you have 5,000 billion red blood cells in a liter, because the process of getting that oxygen is really important. If you don't have the oxygen, you'll be speaking with the ancestors. We good? We good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Let's go. All right, so this just shows you the red blood cell life cycle, right? The building blocks. Again, hematopoiesis. The red building blocks, they're taken up, of course, from digestion, and then they're the reticulocyte, or these are the immature red blood cells. They then mature, and then you have the mature red blood cells, and they last about 120 days. Then they are taken up by the macrophages, broken down in the liver, spleen, liver, and bone marrow. And then the components, some of the components are given off in the feces, whereas the majority of the components are recycled, right? So this just shows the life cycle of the red blood cells. And then to stimulate that, the kidney secretes erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is secreted when it is found that, we don't have a lot of oxygen around, and erythropoietin causes the body itself to make more red blood cells. Why would you want to make more red blood cells if there's not a lot of oxygen around? Let me ask that question. Why would you want to do it? Don't overthink it. Why would you want to make more red blood cells if there's not much oxygen around? Yes, there you go. Thank you very much. So picture this. Thank you very much. Imagine this. So let's just say, you're going by KFC. All right, so you have one KFC. And, the Prime Minister say how after tomorrow KFC closing. So you want to get plenty KFC. What would you do? I know it only have one branch of KFC around by you. And you'll tell all your brother, your sister, you'll call all of them, let me go and join the line, or let us go. Yeah, let us go and join the line. So there are more of y'all. So the probability of y'all getting the limited amount of KFC that is being sold is increased, as opposed to if you as one person go in, and let's say they have a limit as to how much you could take at one time or order. If it's just you alone, you go, you order, let's say, a 2 pieces of fries, and then you have to go in the back of the line and come back and so on, go and drop it off, and then go back to the back of the line. So therefore, it's very difficult for you to get a whole lot. But if you have all your brother, your cousin, your nephew, your nana, and all of them come, let's say it's 12 of you all in the line, the probability of you getting more KFC will be increased. And that's the same reason why when there's not a lot of oxygen around, your body releases erythropoietin. It stimulates the stem cells found in your bone marrow to actually make more red blood cells. So therefore, because of the limited amount, because there's so much of the red blood cells, you still get a lot more than if you just had a little bit of the red blood cells. And that's a very important point to remember. Anemia. We spoke to anemia. Very important or critical in terms of keeping those iron contents up, right? Keeping that iron. You have different types. We spoke to just the iron deficiency, but there are others. Hemorrhagic, we mentioned that. Some persons with heavy menstrual flows, hemolytic, and those caused by production failure. Some persons do have it inherently that they have problems in terms of making red blood cells themselves. All right, so here, what we're looking at over here, on this side, this image relates to what? Somebody help me out. What we're looking at here. These cells here, as opposed to this one. Which one is the healthy cell?
These cells are sickled.
Right. Right. How you know it's sickle cell? Because it says it right down here, sickle cell. So these are sickled, right? And they are, as you could well imagine, when it's passing through the blood vessel, they can now stick up. and this causes a problem, right, in terms of the sickle shape. Anybody here has sickle cell anemia or have family members who have sickle cell anemia? Anybody? Or knows of anybody who has sickle cell?
I have a friend who has sickle cell.
Yes, I know someone.
How is it like? Do they have episodes periodically and so on? And what do they
Yes,
do?
and then they'll be in a lot of pain.
So what
Just
is
a whole
done?
lot of pain.
So what do you do when the person is in pain? Is there anything you could do? Administer painkiller?
Punish them with pain
Yes,
medication.
ibuprofen.
Okay, I got you. Painkiller is right. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it is a painful episode, and it disproportionately affects persons of African origin and Hispanics. There's a high proportion as well, in terms of the sickle cell anemia. Yeah.
But if it is in a full-blown sickle cell, but you have the trait.
Oh, right. That's the same questions I was going to ask.
Yeah, so if two persons who have the trait come together, that is a genetic component. We'll speak more to that in week, actually after Christmas. And I will relate it specifically to the lecture when I do it at that point. But if you have the trait, you can have the trait and not show it. But if two persons having the trait do come together, there's a probability outcome in terms of having a child that will have the disease. So trait means you're carrying it, but you don't necessarily show it phenotypically. So in terms of if they check your blood, no, you wouldn't have any sickle blood cells, but you're carrying the trait. But if one carrier marries another, the combination of those genes, it could give a child that will have it. And we'll speak more to that when we look at genetics. And as I mentioned, that's after reproduction. That's the last topic we actually do. But it could be a carrier and you wouldn't show any trait phenotypically. Phenotypically means what you actually see, as opposed to genetically what is carried. So genetically you're carrying the disease, but phenotypically you don't see anything when you're a carrier. However, two carriers, when they do come together, they could have offspring that actually have the disease. Okay. Platelets, mentioned as important as well for preventing hemorrhaging, right? And this points to the fact of how platelets are formed. This is not on the syllabus in terms of platelets formation. We just have to appreciate the fact that platelets are necessary for the clotting process. All right. This part is good. It shows then hemostasis, prevention of clotting. How a scab or how clotting occurs. Right. So this part, do take note of it, of this one, the steps of hemostasis. How when you do have a rupture in a blood vessel, how coagulation occurs in terms of fibrin forming a mesh or a network, and then the red blood cells become trapped, and that actually stops the hemorrhaging or bleeding. Right? Very, very interesting pathway there. And this here speaks to the coagulation pathway itself. So when it is, you do have a rupture of a blood vessel, you have this activated factor from the external skin area or tissue. It doesn't necessarily have to be the skin. It could be the outside of the blood vessel itself. This activated factor 7, it causes the conversion of prothrombin into thrombin. And then this thrombin catalyzes the change or the formation of fibrin from fibrinogen. So all of these things ultimately leads to the formation of fibrin. Fibrin looks like a net, as is seen here. And this net traps the red blood cell, and then when you have the trapping of the red blood cell, that actually causes the scab to form, and it stops hemorrhaging from occurring. But none of this would happen if you don't have this the bursting of the vessel itself. And on the outside, the inactive factor 7, so this is on the outside of the blood, it's always present there, but the components of the blood activates it. And then when it's activated, you have this cascade of reactions. And again, this is a protein. It causes prothrombin present in the blood itself, prothrombin to be converted into thrombin. And this thrombin now catalyzes the change of another protein, fibrinogen, into fibrin. And fibrin, this is how fibrin looks like. So remember, we spoke about how structure and function, it could be folded differently. So in the presence of thrombin, fibrinogen folds and it looks like a net. Normally it doesn't look like a net, but only when thrombin is present, you have it this forming, and it traps the red blood cell and just like a net filled with fish, and that is how you have the cessation or the stopping of the hemorrhage. Right? So these two things, a clot is a gelatinous weave, whereas thrombosis are abnormal localized. Yeah, so thrombosis, this is thrombosis, not good. Clot, good. This is an abnormal localized collection of platelets and blood cells. Coagulation, and the coagulation factors are not necessary in the formation of a thrombosis. Thrombosis or thromboses could be particularly harmful when they occur in the region of the heart. We'll look at that next week, right, where it could contribute to a heart attack or myocardial infarction. When you do have the circulation associated with the heart, you have a thrombosis forming there, and it blocks off the supply of the blood, bringing nutrients to the heart tissue itself, and that then could lead to infarction. So we speak more about this thrombosis next class when we look at the heart. All right, transfusion, and again, antigen antibody agglutination. You'd read this from the e-classroom, and the activity, of course, is that Noble website, what we mentioned, that you have a look at. I'll speak more to that. All right, so this speaks about the blood types, type AB, AB and O, and this explained more so on the in the activity. Right, rhesus positive and negative. So not only do we have blood groupings AB, AB and O, we also have rhesus positive or negative. And again, all of these antigen, these are just proteins present. Right, so when you do have them present, it's called rhesus positive. Of course, when you don't have these proteins present, you're known as rhesus negative. And this is important because if you're given the wrong blood type, the person could go into shock, right? And it could actually lead to death if left unchecked. And as I mentioned to you, globally, this is all over the world. Every year, people die because of the fact a mistake is made in terms of giving the wrong blood type during a transfusion. All right. I just mentioned a bit of incompatibility as it relates to that. And this is just an exercise. You can have a look at it, but it's not needed for the class itself. All right. So I would like to stop there for today. And what did we look at today? Well, we looked at the blood, well, after our introduction to the class itself, right? We looked at the welcome slides in which we spoke about all the things expected of the class itself, etiquette and so on. We had roll call. Then we had somebody graciously making the WhatsApp group. We looked at the e-classroom itself, had a review, showed you what is expected of you on a weekly basis in terms of just going through those things on the e-classroom itself. All right, so do remember that on a weekly basis. Just so all you have to do, look under this, what students must do. Review the lecture, and you just come lower down and click on lecture, review the PowerPoint, click on PowerPoint, you'll get, all of these are hyperlinks. So just click on it, you'll get it. Review the resources, click on resources, complete the activity, click on the activity, you'll get it, and complete the blood worksheet, right, for the next class day. This is an individual exercise. So you click on the blood worksheet. This is due on the 31st of October at midnight on the 31st. You put it into this Dropbox. As I said, I'll look to change it up, this blood worksheet, so that you could fill out the information on the sheet itself to make life a little simpler for you. All right. There's also a case study here. This case study is just for you to review. This will not be taken up or is not part of your grade itself. And just the last thing I just want to highlight here is the week at a glance. As I mentioned, this on one page, it gives you everything that is required of you, right? And it tells you when activities are due. At the bottom here, it tells you everything in terms of the assessments, how the course is broken down, 10% for assessment 1, which is on the 15th. The activities are 10%. So the first graded activity is the one that is due on the 31st, all right? And is included on the week of the 18th, but this one is due on the 31st. You have another one here. You have another one down here. And you have, just those 3, 5, 3, and 2, that's 10%. The labs, as you know, labs don't begin until the first week in November. And you have assessment 2 is 10%. The project is 10%. It is due on the 24th of January. But if you wish, I kid you not, if you form your group, 5 to 7 persons, you can sit down next week and do it. Yeah, and 18, you know, it's a straightforward exercise, really it is. So I would encourage you to do it from now. So that way come, at that time, you wouldn't have any issues where that is concerned, but just a thought. Yeah. And then the final exam, of course, is with 40%, all right? So we went through how to navigate the classroom itself. Again, there's a Zoom link for Saturday classes. And after you go through that, the activity is the link to the Nobel Prize website, and the blood worksheet is the last thing that you'll have to complete and then submit in the Dropbox. This Dropbox will become available next week, right? You'll put it in here on the 31st of October. So right now you all wouldn't see this, but it would become available from the 18th. Any questions? No? All right, let me just stop the recording.